When an episode of a show ends up banned, you can normally assume there's a pretty spicy reason, right? Either a joke that didn't age well, or something the network regrets, like the now banned Panty Raid episode of SpongeBob. But this isn't always the case. Drake and Josh actually has a decent number of episodes that are banned from streaming services that, honestly, do not seem the least bit controversial in any way. From the episode where that little Girl Scout played by Allison Stoner has a crush on Drake, to the Gary Coleman Grill episode. Hell, even the pilot of the series itself was banned. And one example of an unfairly banned from streaming episode is Dune Buggy, the second episode in the entire series. Released all the way back in 2004, the same year the Nintendo DS was released, Dune Buggy is one of the most classic episodes in the whole show, in a literal sense. And it wasn't banned for violence, racy material, or poorly aged jokes. It was banned for having 5 seconds of a copyrighted song featured in the episode. Which raises the question, why not just cut that short, inconsequential scene from the episode and just re-release it on streaming without the copyrighted material? I mean, Victorious cut an entire scene from an episode for being deemed too inappropriate, but left the episode itself on streaming services. But you're telling me cutting 5 seconds of audio from a Drake and Josh episode isn't worth the hassle, and they would rather just ban the entire episode instead? Unacceptable. And speaking of unacceptable, this episode features Taran Killam playing Drake's friend Trevor. Even though Taran betrayed Drake in real life by writing a letter of support to the courts defending the predator who brutally abused Drake. Disgusting. It would make more sense to ban the episode to censor Taran Killam's disgusting existence, but nah, it was because of copyright. So I decided enough was enough, and it's finally time to take a look back at Dune Buggy to see if this episode holds up all these years later. Because if we wait for Paramount Plus to make the edits and re-upload the episode, we could be waiting a long time. So I guess for now, you're stuck watching it with me. If you like this video, please be sure to throw us a like and maybe subscribe. I might just swallow an entire pack of bubblegum if you do. And as always, if you have any other episodes or shows you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. All right, let's dive in. In the cold open, Josh is bitching about how he can never break the rules and get away with it, but Drake can do anything he wants and never gets busted. And while Josh is yapping, Drake is wreaking havoc in the kitchen. He grabs a slice of cake with his bare hands, takes a bite, then puts it back. Then he grabs some milk, drinks it straight from the carton, then pours the remainder of the milk on the floor. Then he puts the empty carton back in the fridge. And for good measure, he wipes his hands on the curtains while Josh gets yelled at by Audrey for having his feet on the table. Classic. The boys are anxiously waiting for their friend's brother, Trevor, to bring over a Dune Buggy, and Trevor calls Drake to tell him that he's lost, and let's just say Trevor ain't the brightest bulb in the pack.
Look around and tell me what you see.
I see some bushes, and a tree, and a dog. Boy dog.
Excuse me?
And a dog. Boy dog.
Trevor's eyeing up that random dog's junk. Bro needs to be locked up. They ask Trevor where the Dune Buggy is, and he tells them to open the garage. And the boys' excitement is instantly killed once they see the Dune Buggy is beaten to absolute shit. Drake directly asks Trevor if the buggy runs, and he says yes.
Oh yeah, it runs.
You said it runs.
Oh, you meant the Dune Buggy.
Okay, so if they paid for this Dune Buggy, the boys were completely scammed. Hell, even if they didn't pay for it, it's still annoying to have a pile of scrap metal now stuck in your garage. Later, Josh is doing research on how to fix up the Dune Buggy when Drake tells him to just get off the damn computer and help him fix it already. Drake slaps Josh around with a pillow a few times, and Josh gets fed up with it and throws it back at Drake, knocking over a soda, which causes their TV to start smoking. The boys get closer to the TV, and they're straight up breathing in the smoke now, which I guarantee has to be dangerous. But also, that has to be one hell of a high. Yo, Josh, what'd you put in those brownies, Josh? Drake, shut your damn mouth, Drake. Josh crashes out because of the trouble he'll get in from destroying the TV, and Drake gives him some brotherly advice.
There was a very easy way out of this.
What?
Lie.
Lie?
Lie.
Lie.
Also, I just have to point out that the TV is still actively smoking. They really should unplug it or shut off the power breaker or something. Josh decides he's gonna lie to stay out of trouble, and the boys just kick back as if they're watching TV. You know? The one they just fucking blew up? They're just straight up staring at a black screen right now, acting like it's on. Later on, Audrey tries to turn on the TV and Josh tries to stop her through the power of lying. He folds instantly like a fool, and his mom says she doesn't care about the TV, but she's extremely disappointed in Josh for lying. Audrey, let's cool the jets real quick. Bro only lied to you for about 15 seconds, then told you the truth almost instantly. Josh gets grounded for lying, and let's be real, bro would have gotten grounded for ruining the TV if he didn't lie.
I drink root beer. You don't see me exploding.
Cut to Josh fixing up the Dune Buggy when Drake busts in. Josh complains about being grounded for lying, and Drake says he's grounded because he got caught lying, which, fair point. They both agree that Drake gets away with everything, and Josh goes back to work on the car. Cut to the Dune Buggy, entirely fixed and repainted. And honestly, I get that Josh is the smart one, but it's a little surprising that he's better with cars than Drake. They start up the buggy, and a song starts blasting on the radio, and this 5-second snippet is why the episode is banned from streaming, which is actually unacceptable. Walter and Audrey come to see what all the ruckus is about, and they're not impressed. Walter jacks the keys to the buggy, and they both start listing different reasons why Drake and Josh cannot drive it out in the street.
You're too young.
You don't have driver's licenses.
It's dangerous.
That thing can't be street legal. It doesn't even have turn signals.
Oh, no. That's why I have Josh. Look. Left. Right.
And yeah, Drake and Josh would have actually been breaking a lot of laws by driving that thing around. The thing doesn't even have a license plate. Later, Josh is sweeping up the kitchen because he's still grounded when Drake comes in and asks if their parents are still gone. And I thought things were about to take a spicy and unethical turn, but Drake says they should take the Dune Buggy for a spin before their parents get home. But Josh will not be tempted.
Come on, let's just go for a spin.
No means no.
Drake gives up and just fucks off. Josh decides to drink some juice straight from the carton, just like Drake did a few seconds ago. And of course, Megan catches him and threatens to tell mom and dad. Cut to Drake sitting alone in the Dune Buggy.
Hey, baby. You want to ride? Yeah, I thought so.
What happened just a few minutes ago when Drake said he doesn't want to sit in an empty Dune Buggy that he can't drive?
Well, I'm not just gonna sit in here.
Trevor lets himself into the garage, and there's no way Drake didn't see Trevor approach him in his peripheral vision.
Well, if that's what you want, baby, pucker up.
Well, okay.
Hey!
As soon as Trevor hops into the buggy, Drake wants to take it for a spin and crashes into a tree the second they leave his garage. This is some pretty upsetting foreshadowing to the major car crash Drake Bell would get into in the distant future. Over at the hospital, the doctor is manhandling Drake's mangled body, and Drake tells the doctor how he got all these injuries.
How did this happen, Drake?
I was driving a dune buggy and ow, we hit a tree, flipped over, and I kind of fell out. Ow.
If Drake flipped the buggy and fell out on the cement street, he'd be dead, or at the very least, near death. But somehow, bro doesn't even have one single broken bone?
Well, you didn't break anything, but you've got a few bad sprains and some pretty serious bruising on your hip and around your ribcage.
Yep, sure, whatever. For that matter, Trevor was in the car with Drake when the car flipped. How did he not get fucking injured? No shot, bro. However, Drake does have serious bruising all over his entire body and needs a few weeks of bed rest. And before leaving, the doctor recommends Trevor get some brain scans done.
You might want to get a brain scan.
No thanks. My folks make me get one every month.
Back at home, Drake's trying to cover the trashed dune buggy with a tarp. Was the dune buggy just sitting flipped over in the street while Drake was at the hospital? Bro can hardly even put the tarp on without being in agonizing pain. There's no shot he moved this shit from the street to the garage, let alone flipped it over. Josh comes in and asks Drake if they can sit in the dune buggy together and pretend they're driving it. And Drake asks if they can just go play video games without moving instead, which Josh agrees to. Back in the house, Walter's carrying Megan, who fell asleep while gardening. Where did she doze off? In the dirt? On top of the fucking petunias? Walter tells Drake to carry Megan upstairs to bed. And of course, as Drake tries to carry her, he just starts crying and gets down on his knees. He tells his parents it's because she's just so beautiful. Later, Josh is about to uncover the dune buggy when he gets a call from the hospital. The person on the phone violates HIPAA instantly by telling Josh about Drake's hospital visit without his permission. In fact, Drake is under 18. They would have to call his parents immediately. Josh realizes the buggy's been destroyed and he sets out to make Drake pay. Josh finds Drake and Walter chilling on the couch and goes full psychopath mode when he asks Walter to perform some wrestling moves on Drake as a demonstration.
Come on, let's see some moves.
Okie dokie. This is the classic full Nelson.
Cool. Show me more.
All right, Josh, count me in.
1, 2, 3, attack Drake!
Look, even without all the brutal injuries Drake endured, getting a full body slam to the floor on your spine would hurt anyone. Audrey comes in to break up the tussle and Drake drags Josh to their room so they can talk. And in their room, Josh crashes out on Drake for always getting away with everything.
Through the pillows. You talked me to lying about the TV. You got me grounded. And you took our dune buggy out when you weren't supposed to, and you wrecked it.
And damn, honestly, this feels like real acting like we later see in season 4's Josh is Done. Josh decides not to turn Drake in, but he does lay on some guilt by telling Drake all he cares about is himself and getting out of trouble. Later in the night, Audrey and Walter ask Josh what is up with Drake, and he lies and says he's fine, just as Drake comes downstairs to reveal the truth himself. He tells the family he was in a dune buggy accident, and Josh and Megan just laugh at Drake for getting in trouble. Shouldn't they have more empathy for him? He recently got into a near-fatal car crash where he was ejected from the car. It's not really a laughing matter. Instead of reacting with anger, the parents show concern for Drake and actually take their anger out on Josh instead.
Did you know about this?
Well, yeah, I
You
do.
still made your father wrestle him?
When you knew Drake was hurt?
Whoa, wait a second.
Drake even admits the TV getting broken was his fault too, which, to be honest, I'm still blaming Josh for that one. Bro should have controlled his anger and not threw the pillow. Drake gets grounded for the first time in his life, and Josh gloats while he brings Drake a pizza in bed.
2 weeks, laying in bed, no school, playing a little guitar, watching a little TV. You bringing me pizzas? Yeah, being grounded is bad.
Okay, but being stuck in bed while having TV and junk food is not the same as being grounded. At this point, Josh realizes he's basically Drake's servant, and he's not impressed. We even get a funny after credits scene of injured Drake trying to bring in the groceries, which should have been in the final cut of the episode, to be honest. I love it. And honestly, after rewatching Dune Buggy, I'm even more pissed off that this one isn't available on streaming anywhere, because it's a pretty banger episode from beginning to end. As much as I personally dislike Taron Killam and find him disgusting, I gotta admit that he's pretty funny in the role of Trevor, and of course, Drake and Josh absolutely knock it out of the park in this one. They were still brand new at doing the show at this point, since it's only the second episode, and still, their performances are top-notch. Josh gets legitimately angry at Drake when he finds out about the Dune Buggy, which I thought was pretty convincing, and I really bought that Drake was terribly injured. Maybe it's because this was only the second episode of the first season and they were still finding their footing, but this episode felt like it took itself pretty seriously compared to the others in the series. And personally, for me, it worked. But something kind of odd about these older episodes is the characters don't always act like themselves yet. This is maybe one of the only times in the series where Megan and Josh see eye to eye. Towards the end of the episode, they're both sitting together and they clearly clearly want to see Drake go down. And we all know Josh ends up seeing Drake as his best friend. So it's kind of weird to see him treat him more like an enemy. I mean, come on. Knowing your brother was just in a major car crash, then getting your dad to wrestle him is kind of brutal. Josh is a little evil for that one. So with all the greatness and the weirdness this episode has to offer, this is one you should definitely rewatch if you can figure out how. I don't think you'll be disappointed. But enough of me yapping. What did you guys think of Dune Buggy? Do you remember this one standing out to you when you were a kid, or did you miss this one back in the day? Let me know in the comments and let's kick it. And as always, I have to give a pulsating shout out to the channel and Patreon members. I genuinely want to jump through all of your screens and lick your bare feet as a thank you for your support. And if you remember in my last video, I asked the question, what famous musicians' unreleased tracks are used as background music on Victorious? Unfortunately, no one in the Agro Army got it right this time. So the first commenter to get the correct answer was The Peach Tube, with the correct answer, Kesha. And honestly, the Kesha ice cream episode of Victorious makes a lot more sense now. If you're still here, damn, I like your style. Maybe subscribe and check out some other videos. Also, you should totally get Italian ice this week, or as I like to call it, water ice. That shit's tasty, and summer is right around the corner. Alright, thanks for listening.